I hope I have sound. I'm gonna get this set in here. Thank you so much, Bex, for telling me that I didn't have sound and telling me really quickly so I wasn't continuing to think that I had sound when I didn't have sound. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I don't know if I do have sound this time. Obviously, I'm on my cell phone now, which I don't like doing, but you know, I didn't have, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't able to unmute myself. So that was frustrating. So I hope that somebody is here and can tell me whether I have sound or not. I guess I'll just go ahead and proceed as if I do. So let me share with you, I just got back from a trip to Washington, D.C. last night with my family, and I missed you guys very much. I tried to post as much as I possibly could. I did some community posts, I did some yoga videos, and I even tried to go live from the Arlington Cemetery. Oh, and I did post a little video from the Smithsonian. But when I went live from Arlington Cemetery, man, I had like, I don't know, a dozen trolls jump in right away. And one of them said, "I'm going to report you." And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then I thought, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to go live from Arlington Cemetery. You know, there's a lot of rules with the military, of course. And so I logged off and I deleted it and then found out that it was fine that I was going live. The only thing you need to worry about in that setting is, according to the research that I did, speaking with my son and looking online, is that you, oh, and I did talk to an employee too, you need to make sure that you're not getting other people in your video, and you need to make sure that you're being respectful, and you definitely don't record or photograph other people's ceremonies at all. So I wasn't doing any of that, and I was just trying to go live, and then all these trolls came in, and then I thought, well, maybe not. Anyway, I missed you guys, and I still don't know if I have sound or anything. I guess I'll just keep talking, pretending like I have sound, because I got to get back into the groove of it. So somebody is here. You can hear Bex. You are the best, girl. I love you. Thank you so much. I was just like, what am I doing? So how are you, Bex? And I am on my cell phone, so the the chat is small. It's far away. I can see it, but it disappears quickly. So I'm just gonna say, forgive me if I miss some of your chat, but I caught that, Bex, and I really appreciate you letting me know. Thank you, my dear. So are you melting in 100-degree heat where you are? It's not too bad back in Ohio where I am. It was hideous in DC. It was so freaking hot and humid. And I just tried to stay inside, and we tried to keep the AC at a frigid temperature to kind of like stock up on the coldness, so when you'd go outside, it wasn't as melting. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. But anyway, let's talk about some cases. I love DC. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised in my earliest years. And then when my parents got divorced, my mom stayed in D.C. My dad moved us back and forth from D.C. to Southern California. Every year, it was hell, and I won't get you guys caught up on all that right now. All I want to say, basically, is that D.C. is like my first home, so I absolutely love it. But my goodness, has it changed in the last 50 years. I mean, obviously, everywhere has. It is so freaking crowded and so freaking fancy. It's unbelievable. Absolutely a completely different experience than it was when I was a kid. It's hot in New Hampshire. My home office is also, about 72? Is that what I saw before it faded? So yeah, while we were there, we had the solstice, we had the strawberry moon, and then we had my son's 20th birthday. I can't believe that my oldest baby boy is 20 and married. It's so, like, what a trip. Who'd have thought? So I was there at the Smithsonian Zoo for my 15th birthday, a mere what, 41 or 2 years ago. And then my son, we went to the Smithsonian Zoo for his 20th birthday, and it was one of those days when it was about 100 degrees, and it was freaking miserable. So I survived, but barely. I do not like the heat. I do not like crowds. And surprising to me, there were a lot of people there, even though it was that hot. Anyway, also surprising to me was to come home to a letter that I posted a little snapshot of it, of the up here. Oops. There. Ah, I didn't show that, did I? Delete. Oh, that's too funny. Anyway, I might have to do something about that. I don't want my personal information out there. And yeah, those trolls are quick, aren't they? They're going to be like descending on my house within minutes. Seriously, I probably should delete this video. Bex, what do you think? Start one more time? Nah, I'm just going to go with it. Because, you know, anyway, so I got this letter from the feds about the Gabby Petito case and covering my name and my home address. And I'm just thinking, you know, I probably really should play it safe and delete this video. So could I see it well? Okay, couldn't see it well. It was blurry. Okay, I'm just worried about somebody screenshotting it and then zooming in. But if they have the ability to do that, they probably have the ability to find me anyway. And I figure, you know, it just is what it is. Thanks for letting me know, Bex. I'm sick of restarting my videos, so I'm just going to leave it for now anyway. This is like the third or fourth time I've tried. You're the bomb for letting me know that. Anyway, let me read a little bit of this to you, not the whole thing. Of course, it's very long, and a lot of it is just standardized, but some of this I think is specifically to me. So it says, this is in response to your Freedom of Information Act request. Please see the paragraphs below for the relevant information specific to your request, as well as the enclosed FBI FOIPA addendum for standard responses applicable to all responses. The FBI is currently processing records subject to the FOIA that are responsive to your request. We are making these records available in the FBI's electronic FOIA library. They call it the Vault, on the FBI's public website. And they put the web address here, which I put the web address in my community post that I did last night. On the right-hand side of the homepage, under the heading Vault Links, you can search for your subject alphabetically. Click on A to Z Index by category. Click on Categories. Or by entering text into your search engine, click on Search Vault. For records responsive to this request, please enter Brian Laundrie as the search term. Releases will be posted on the Vault periodically. The first interim release occurred on June 7th, 2024. Please check the Vault regularly to view more releases on this subject. You will be notified again when the final release has been posted on the Vault. Please refer to the enclosed FBI FOIA addendum for additional standard responses applicable to your request. Part 1 of the addendum includes standard responses that apply to all requests. Part 2 includes additional standard responses that apply to all requests for records about yourself or any third-party individuals. Part 3 includes general information about FBI records that you may find useful. Also enclosed is our explanation of exemptions. So additional information can be found at the website www.fbi.gov/FOIA. Should you have questions regarding your request, please feel free to contact FOIA questions at fbi.gov. Please reference the request number listed above in all correspondence concerning your request. Please be advised that if you are seeking a new search for records, you may wish to narrow the scope of your request based on material that you've already received, time frame, or locality. Additionally, be advised that unusual circumstances may apply. These unusual circumstances will delay our ability to make a determination on your request within 20 days. Additionally, the payment of pertinent fees may apply to your requests. This application of unusual circumstances is not a determination of how the FBI will respond to your uh, substantive request. And then it goes on. So I was thrilled to get a letter from the federal government as I'm returning to my home from the home of the federal government, basically. Um, I have wanted to get the full file on the Gabby Petito case for a long time, and I've made a few requests through the FBI website, and it's great that they're keeping up with it. So you got to give it to them on that. And I wanted to talk with you guys today about Micah. I wanted to talk with you about Gabby Petito. And I just wanted to talk with you guys. I've missed you like freaking crazy, crazy, crazy. And I hate being on my cell phone for a live, but I'm just happy to be on a live. And thank you, Bex, for being here. It looks like we have 5 people and a like. Please hit that like button if you'd be so kind. One sec. It puts the algorithm out there. So I'll hold the little thumb. Please hit that creepy thumb and make sure that you are still subscribed. Share a video of mine if you like, and turn on your notification bell to ring. I don't know that that works, but you know, the shadow banning seems to be in full effect. It seems that a lot of the people who cover Kylie Rodney are in full effect shadow banned, which to me is great information. Like, why the fuss? Why worry about what we're saying if this was just a teenage girl who, you know, was young and dumb and did this to herself? And, you know, I'm being sarcastic, of course, when I say young and dumb. Young people do things like that. That's a fact. And the fact is that that could be the explanation to what happened to Kylie Rodney that night, but all of the evidence points to other directions. And when I say evidence, I'm talking hard evidence, like the search, the autopsy, the demeanor. The demeanor of people is some of your best evidence. Hello, Annie Ruler. Lovely to see you, my dear. Hit that like button. So demeanor is huge. So we got to look at demeanor of all of the people in Kylie's close circle. And the whole premise of we lost our friend is missing, is absurd. It's ludicrous. If you had a party like that and you couldn't find the person that you thought you saw in a safe situation around 12:30 at night, and she wasn't home the next morning, and you couldn't find hide nor hair of her, I don't think you would just start speaking like, oh, we lost her. You'd be like, where did she go? And this is worrisome. And I don't think you would be like necessarily crying and torn up, although as a parent, yeah, I think your instinct would be to completely freak out and have the bottom fall out. Okay, let me just say that. But everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of starting a conversation, hoping to open up a discussion and learn something and be educational. All my videos to date have been made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. So when you're interviewing, when detectives are interviewing family and friends when they have a lost person, they're always going to be suspicious of the people who made the call, the last people to have contact with this person, any romantic interest or romantic rivals. Those are your key persons of interest, shall we say. And these people just kind of failed across the boards. And I like the work that Mr. Mark is doing. He's from the outset of the Madeline Soto case, he's made parallels with Madeline Soto's parents and Kylie Rodney's parents, and I think that's real valid. Squirrels, better late than never. Lovely to see you, my dear. Yeah, I was late too because I had trouble with my technology. I was hoping you'd come and help. I couldn't get my laptop to not be mute, and I don't know what the deal is, but I'll get it figured out tonight, hopefully, so I can get back into my routine, because I missed you guys so much. It was like every day I was there, I was just dying to go on a live, and I'd be thinking, how can I do it here and now? And I started to talk about, I did go live my first day from the Arlington National Cemetery, which is awesome. If you haven't had a chance to visit, I've never had a chance to visit, despite the fact that I was born right there in Arlington, right near the cemetery. So I finally got to go in there because we had an active duty military personnel in our vehicle. We were able to drive our vehicle on there, which is phenomenal. You're not usually allowed to do that. You're lucky just to get past the gate because, of course, you have to register and they have to, you know, fingerprint you and call your kindergarten teacher and all that. No, I'm of course kidding, but you do have to register, and they do have strict visiting hours. So you're not allowed to be on the premises after 5, I think. And any time that I've went by there hoping to check it out, it's not been feasible. So this was awesome. And I went live, and then all these trolls just came falling into my live, and one of them was a little vicious, saying, I'm gonna report you. Check YouTube to see how to unmute laptop. That is how, yeah, okay. Yeah, that was weird. Because I was using my laptop and making videos, but I don't think I was doing it live while I was in DC. I did a couple of yoga videos. So my let's see, Mary Thomas, hello, blessings. I didn't see any trolls. Was that today, Jazz? No, this was the first day we were in DC, and I think that would have been Friday. So we drove there on Thursday. Friday we went to the Arlington Cemetery. Saturday we did the Smithsonian. Sunday we did the zoo, and then Monday they did like an Air Force museum, but I stayed home on Monday and I did my yoga homework, and I just had to chill and hang out with the dogs. So, you know, we piled the whole family in the van. We drove there with our dogs. My son and his wife, they have 2 dogs, so it was fun. Write this down, right click your sound icon and blah, 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 blah. Shan, can you text it to me? That'd be awesome if you can text it to me. Or, yeah, go ahead and text me, because I've got my laptop right here and I can try it while I'm on my live. Let's see. Sorry about the technical difficulties, you guys. Oh wait, no, if you text it to me, I'm on my freaking cell phone, so don't text it to me. But anyway, I don't know. I'll just try to deal with it later. Maybe you can text it to me later. Yeah, where's my IT people in my house? You know, my daughter's at work at her new job. My husband's asleep because he works night shift. My son is visiting with his girlfriend. And my other IT kid is asleep, even though it's past noon, because like I said, we just got back last night. And you know how those kids are. They like to sleep past noon. So, let's see. The lack of investigation in Kylie Rodney's case is one of the features that makes me the most frustrated, because I didn't see any real investigation going on. Of course, I wasn't there, but from afar, it seemed like this investigation was just smoke and mirrors. It did not seem like a real investigation. They would have gone to her freaking house. They would have had that timeline of exactly where she was that day. They would have like followed her, probably GPS on her cell phone, and watched where her car had gone all freaking day, right? They would have done that for the days leading up to it too. Did they investigate, or did they help hide evidence? Exactly, squirrels. And I got to see a couple of your videos last night, and right before I fell asleep, I was on your last live, but I had to catch your live before that on the replay. And you were covering a lot of great information. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to like take notes on everything, but I was listening. I was paying attention. I was in your chat. Yeah, so what's been killing me the most, and I made some posts about this, in community posts, while I was out of town, and sorry, I'm not going to be able to read everything, girl. But you can go ahead and put your chat up there for each other. Chat amongst yourselves. What was killing me the most is that freaking Country for Kylie. And I had this crazy vision, you guys. I'm just going to spit it out. I had this crazy vision about Kylie being like trapped in basically a dugout hole in the woods and actually able to hear the Country for Kylie music. And I never really thought about that precise possibility of what could have happened during those days. But that came to me while I was in DC, and I think it kind of came to me when I was in like a half dream state. And those types of images, the kind of the dream state, those to me are usually the most spot on. So my theory about it had been building for a long time, and then I posted about it and got some feedback from you guys, and then I had that vision, and then I just thought, my goodness, like, what if that Country for Kylie was more like taunting her, like look, Kylie, everybody's celebrating without you. Nobody cares that you're missing. We're having a big party. Like, what if that was what they were trying to convey? They were doing that kind of the gang stalker, street theater, mind effery. And I wouldn't put it past them. So, you know, the idea, that vision that I had is consistent with JaneDoe 1, JaneDoe 2, and Elsa's counts, which I do think are utter crap, but they usually sow some seeds of truth into their lies to try to make them float or fly, right? The whole thing about her falling into a hole. That's weird. Why would you talk about somebody falling into a hole? And if she did fall into a hole, why aren't there more people talking about it? Other people that were at the party. And did she hurt herself? I mean, so was she in a hole? Did somebody put her in a hole? And then did she get dehydrated? Did she starve? Is this why the autopsy weights and sizes are so off? That's always what I thought. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, humiliation. I'm sorry. I didn't catch who the comment was from, but yeah. Wow, that's always what you thought, huh? I want to know, can you type again so I know who that comment was from? That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I've never had that vivid thought, and honestly, I've never really had a vivid image of what was happening to her. So that one just kind of came to me, and I've kind of been stuck on it. So I'm so curious who that was, but I will catch it on my own replay so I can read through your comments. It usually takes YouTube about 24 hours to post them. But like I said, you guys can keep commenting. It's just that it's so small and it doesn't stay up. Oh, Arter Moore. Comment was from Arter Moore. Thank you. So, and it's like, it almost looks like hieroglyphics in your handle, which I've seen you and I've wondered. So thank you. That's wild. That's wild. And yeah, I don't know if you are a regular with Squirrels on Fire. It seems like she kind of knew you maybe. Anyway, wow. Okay, so there's this audio recording of some whack job, in my opinion, saying that they used to attend the Solid Rock Church, and they did this like 2-minute audio recording for YouTube saying all this smack about the church and about JP, and I sent that to you squirrels. Yeah, so I, in my non-scientific way, I listened to that recording of this person saying that they used to go there and they were saying a lot of crazy things, a lot of real general things too, but they spoke in a really weird manner. Of course, their voice was going through, some kind of AI device so that their voice was unrecognizable, except for the fact that it was the exact same voice as JaneDoe 1 and JaneDoe 2 in the Kylie Rodney case. And not only was the voice the same, the way they spoke was the same, their sentence structure was the same, their inflections were the same, the way they strung together their ideas was the same, the way they contradicted themselves was the same. For instance, this person said, I got to meet Micah, and then a minute later they said like that they hung out with her, like routinely, like regularly. But why would you say I got to meet her and then, like, that doesn't make sense? And they did that kind of thing a lot, which was also very similar with JaneDoe 1 and JaneDoe 2. And just kind of the over explaining and like the really vague about some things and then kind of detailed on other things. Those are your red flags for liars. We get that with people like Scammy Smith. We get that with people like Chris Watts. I don't think we got a lot of details from some of the other people in Kylie's case, like her family and her other friends. I mean, Kate Cunio said about when they were together making the dessert, I'm not going to say the name of it, the creamy stuff, that she didn't notice anything off, that she didn't notice anything unusual, and that, if Kylie was going to do something like run away or hurt herself, she would have noticed something was off. And that always bothered me. Like she was trying to plant seeds to say that Kylie was a runaway or that she did do something to hurt herself. But yeah, not a lot of detail about like what time they met up and what they were doing and, things that were said and, mannerisms and gestures. I can't speak today. Things like when people are telling a story about what just happened a few days ago, they might say something like, oh, and she had just done her hair differently, and I noticed her cool earrings. There's details like that that tell you a story is true and accurate. And when it's just this vague, we were making a dessert and everything seemed fine, that's really vague. And why these people wouldn't go into great detail about every little thing in efforts to try to help find her. Annie Ruler seemed like greed, sacrifice. Oh, I'm missing so many good comments. So, yeah. And the whole thing with the creator of Facebook and Meta and his involvement in searching. And thank you, Mr. Mark, for finding that receipt that he had signed in. Mr. Z had signed in, boots on the ground, that he was helping to find Kylie. And remember, you guys remember, coming up on 2 years ago, just about, in a couple of months here, 6 weeks, we all remember how stunning that was. Like, wow, he's out there, boots on the ground. What a great guy, right? And then not only did he disappear, like he was only out there maybe once or twice. I think it was all just one day. It might have been a little bit more than one day. But then all of the talk about it went away. And I thought that was so odd. Like, if he's helping, then, a person like that out there on the scene is going to bring a lot of attention to the matter. And that can be helpful. So Why did that go away? And why, dear, why did the Kylie Rodney family hire a PR expert right off the bat? Indeed, the same PR expert that Sherry Panini, what's her name? Sherry, you know, the woman who did her fake runaway thing. Sherry Panini, something like that. Anyway, the same PR person that she had. Is it Panini? That's like, I usually know what her name is. It's just escaping me at the moment. Having a brain fart. Excuse me for that. Anyway, Papini, Sherry Papini. All right. So Sherry Papini's PR person was the same PR person that the Kylie Rodney's family hired. Like, you're not going to hire a PR person unless you have something to hide, in my opinion. Amanda Knox's family hired a PR firm in Seattle. And yeah, that's paid off well. That $1 million that they paid the PR firm has paid back in dividends. I mean, she's built a multi-million-dollar empire on the back of Meredith Kercher and the tragedy of what was done to her. Are you serious? Papini? Yeah, Annie Ruler. Shan, I think, was the first one to bring that to my attention. And then I spoke about it recently, and probably right before my trip. And then Mr. Mark looked it up, and he found the receipts. Because I was like, did that really happen, or was that just rumor? So, yeah, the receipts about Zuckerberg. Oops, I didn't say the name, did I? But also, Shan was definitely the person who brought to my attention the thing with the PR person and it being the exact same person. And if you're going to hire, let's just say if you're going to hire a PR person, I wouldn't hire one that just took a high profile case like that of a nut job who just happened to be a fake kidnapping. Unless you wanted an expert in fake kidnapping PR, right? Weird. I'm just so glad, you guys, that there is handfuls of us that still care about Kylie. It's been 2 years. So I was in DC, and I can't think about DC. I can't talk about DC. I can't be in DC without thinking about Chandra Levy. Chandra Levy, for anybody who doesn't know, was a 24-year-old young woman. She just turned 24, 2 weeks before she went missing, roughly 2 weeks, in May of 2001. So she turned 24 April of 2001. She went missing officially, it's May 1st of 2001. And then Gary Condit, the politician, was under scrutiny, intense scrutiny, for having an affair with her and then having her go missing. And then, like, the shite was really hitting the fan over the summer, right up until 9/11. And when 9/11 happened that year of 2001, it was such a blessing for Gary Condit and his crap, in my opinion. So the world was so focused on what happened to Chandra Levy and why is this shady politician dude who was over 30 years older than her. He had 2 kids that were both older than her. Why is he being so freaking shifty? And not to mention that he had a brother at the time who was serving time in a state penitentiary, I think in Florida. So he had a convict for a brother. So meaning that he would have connections, right? So I always felt like 9/11 got him off the hook, and it continued to get him off the hook. And then a year passed, the anniversary, May 1st of 2002, and still know Chandra. Her poor family, oh my goodness, especially her mother. If you've seen the video footage, her mother was a train wreck. And who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? So they were from, I want to say they were from Modesto, California. Um, Gary Condit was also from the same area. So they were constituents of him, of his. And I think that they had been supporters of his until this happened and they couldn't get answers from him. And then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, May 6th rolls around and they know who did it. It was this immigrant that they pinned it on, who they said did the same thing to some other people. This all happened in Rock Creek Park, allegedly. So her remains were found in Rock Creek Park. And Rock Creek Park is kind of similar to Central Park. So they found her remains. Their story was that she went jogging, that this stranger attacked her, and that he had attacked other women. And so he was in jail. And then he got deported, and then charges against him were dropped, you guys. I don't know if you realize that her case is still unsolved. So they had pinned it on him, in my opinion, for a while, and then they deported him and said that it wasn't him. It's crazy. Yeah, thank you, Sherry, Kylie Rodney, for sure. So, you know, the pattern of beautiful young women being extinguished or terminated and then just written off as if the world goes on without them. And yeah, the world does go on without them, but not for everyone. Like, not for the family, especially the parents, especially the moms, but siblings, cousins, friends, extended family, nieces and nephews. These are tragedies that these families will live with for generations. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely disgusting. So I was very much thinking about Chandra Levy while I was in DC, which I always do. I just can't help it. You know, I just look around and think, you know, was she doing this? Was she hanging out there? Was she, you know, where was her apartment? I mean, her apartment wasn't far from Rock Creek Park because that's where she took her runs routinely. To me, it's just too convenient. I have always suspected Gary Condit, even when it was said that this other guy did it, even when it was said that they had evidence that he did it. And just the fact that they resolved the case a few days after the 1-year anniversary, that's suspicious in and of itself, as if just out of the blue. Because anniversaries bring things up, you guys, and the reason I'm bringing all this up is that we are coming to the 2nd anniversary, obviously, with Kylie Rodney. So August 6th is right around the corner. Like I said, 6 weeks away. And anniversaries, people crack under the pressure. People that know things. And we know that there's people that know things. We know this for a fact. We might not know exactly who those people are. We certainly each have our own suspicions of who the people are that know things that aren't coming forward. But what good is it going to do them to come forward to law enforcement that's part of a potential cover-up? It's crazy. All you're doing in a situation like that is putting a target on your back, right? And you're in this small town. If you want to stay in that small town, you're going to have that target on your back. It's not safe. You can't do that. So what in the world is going on with the motor vehicle accident report that the California State Highway Patrol has still not produced? And this was something that Shan was just talking about last night, something that we have all talked about periodically. And I'm sorry that I'm going to have to miss those comments. Annie Ruler, my cousin, Bambi, Larson, if you want to reprint it, I missed it. It's just so tiny and so far away. Like I said, I will definitely check all the comments once they're up on the replay. I can't stand missing them. You know, I could have done a pre-recorded since my thing wasn't working, and I knew if I did it on my cell phone that I'd have that issue. But I couldn't not go live with you guys. I just had to. Like, I was so excited, and then to have it not work. Anyway, let's get back on track here. So if anyone in Truckee Talks, they know that they're going to get retaliation against themselves for years to come. Years to come. Generations to come, potentially. And I asked this question about a week ago, I think before I went on the trip. Was Kylie, was that a retaliation from a family conflict that's been going on for generations? We know that her granddad was in litigation with the federal government over some water rights, and that Scammy's mother is the lawyer that represents the federal government for that specific case, right? Is it David Robinson and Daniel Rodney is the dad? I think I'm getting that straight. Anyway, the granddad and Scammy's parents. So Scammy's parents represent the federal government in that litigation. I've looked up the documentation. I've looked up the lawsuit. I'm sure I have it somewhere, but you know, I've got so many files. I can't keep track of all that paperwork and electronic files. Okay, did it come back on? Is it back on? Am I still with you guys? Did it work? Oh, how annoying. Yay, Bex! I totally thought I lost the stream when that stupid call came through. This is another reason why I hate using my freaking cell phone for YouTube. I thought it ended. Glad you're back. Oh, thank you, Bex. I know, I was afraid it ended too. Like, it froze up at 42 minutes and some odd seconds. And then I touched a few things and then it started counting again. Yes, was Kylie inheriting Grandpa's water rights? Yes, right, potato here. Yeah, was she? I mean, we've heard stories that he was trying to give the lodge to her, maybe? I don't know. I really honestly don't know. But what I do know is that we do not have any media interest in covering Kylie's case, like a Lifetime series, like 2020, Dateline. What are some of the other ones? 48 Hours. Like, those are your standard mystery documentaries. I'm not satisfied with the disposition of her case. It seems obvious to me that the authorities are not satisfied with the disposition of her case. Otherwise, why wouldn't they have the freaking motor vehicle accident report done by now, almost 2 years later? It's absurd. So even if they get it in, they've already shot themselves in the foot by dragging it out for so long. The longest I've ever seen anything like that take, honestly, is not more than about 6 months. So, yeah. And, you know, every case is different, right? You do need to allow for that some cases set precedents. Mary says, I wish I could sit down with you through all my questions. Well, hopefully tomorrow I'll have my laptop working and then I can interact with the chat much better. Mary Thomas, thank you for that. Because yeah, I mean, I have immersed myself in Kylie Rodney's case, along with the Squirrel Squad and many others. And we are all extremely attached to Kylie. We're all very invested in finding justice for Kylie. Sadly, her family doesn't seem to be invested in finding justice for her. I mean, that quote that her mother said right after, you know, what was it? Like at the end of the celebration of life, I've got bills to pay. Like that was just so cold. Of course, everybody has bills to pay. I always saw that as crazy, like straight up crazy. And then BoobTube TV, hello, hello, my dear. Thanks for coming in. And then it was recently that I thought maybe she was trying to let the cat out of the bag and let people know that this was related to a bill that she had to pay. I don't know. I mean, the thing when you get into these cases for real is you get a lot of convolutedness, you get a lot of mixed emotions. I said it about a week ago with Jägermeister that maybe he was pissed off with her and he didn't care what happened to her that night. And then a few weeks later, he started caring. And then he started doing the tattoo on his arm, the Long Live Kylie, and the weird photograph with the Polaroid and posting about that, and the little evidence box and him looking like the guy from the Silence of the Lambs. You know, if this is real life, which it is, obviously you're going to have the mixed emotions. You're going to have the roller coaster, the up and down, the regrets. And we never ever heard any of those regrets from the people close to her. Like I've said it many times, the woulda, shoulda, coulda. Like, oh, if only we had made her go to the Hot August Nights with us like we planned. If only we filled the gas tank. If only, you know, a million other things. If something like that happens to your loved one, you're not going to stop with the what ifs. You can't. Like your mind just runs with it and you can't help but blame yourself. Have we ever heard any of these people say I blame myself? Because that's what people do. People blame themselves in situations like that. And then there's also the survivor's guilt. So if this happened to my friend, how come it didn't happen to me? How come I'm unscathed relatively? Like that's normal. And we don't have any of that normal. Like this whole case is so freaking abnormal. It's so wrong. I want to talk about the Micah Miller case too, because that one is real current. Also very, very abnormal and wrong. And so Micah is of Latin American descent. I just learned that on a video that I watched this morning. So I had been wondering about her family's bloodline and nationality and had only speculated what other countries her family could have been from, and apparently it's South American. So I just wanted to fill you guys in on that. And I also learned a lot more about the incident where JP hit the woman with his vehicle when he was 19 years old. And I found all this information like right before my trip, and then I was looking into it over my trip, and so I'm not real organized on it right now. But the woman was 19. I do have her name. I do not know their relationship. He was 19. So he had that first child. Is his name like Ryan Hardy or something like that? I think that he was born when JP was 16. I wonder if this person that he hit with his car might be the mother of his child, but I don't know. It's just a question that I have. I certainly think that he was probably romantically involved with this person. So this person was a woman the exact same age as him. Apparently it was a flood, a hurricane, and they were putting all these sandbags all over the place in the neighborhood, and he had been there harassing her. He was told to leave. He left. He came back in a different vehicle, and he put tape over his freaking license plate. So he hits her with his car, and then he proceeds to drive, I think, about 100 yards with her on the hood of the car. And then I don't know about, I've heard that he hit her twice. I don't know what happened after that, about the second time that he hit her or ran her over. I don't know. But I did find a lot of solid information. I think I found the freaking police report. I mean, like I said, it was like a week ago, and I was just like digging and digging and digging. It was either the police report or, you know what it was? It was the police report. It was a newspaper article that had a link to the actual freaking police report in it, you guys. And I will try to find that and put the link in my description here. Because I like to show my receipts, and I try not to speak on anything that I don't have receipts for. I don't always have the receipt in my hand, but somewhere I can find it and put it in the description or follow up with you later on it. But yeah, that was a newspaper article that was written right after, like a few days after, and it had the links to the court papers. Anyway, we'll find it, we'll put it in there, and that might answer some questions. But I also think that has the victim's name in it. So I don't like putting her name out there. Normally it's blocked out. Just like JP's kids' names are normally blocked out. But I've seen those names around too. Not just the one that was in prison in jail for domestic violence, but the 4 younger ones, the ones that he had with Allison. So the fact that JP was able to successfully get his violent criminal past expunged and pardoned 20 years later with this doofus judge, oh my goodness. That was probably JLR that had the recording of the hearing. And then JP, this is so typical. Every freaking narcissist does this. Tries to turn the tables, flip the script, and say, no, actually he's the victim. Micah was stalking him. Poor guy. He's the lead head of a large church with access to millions of dollars, and he marries his babysitter, his kid's babysitter, who he was almost twice her age. He was twice her age when they met, for crying out loud. She was 14, he was 28. And then she was 15, he was 29. So he was twice her age when they met. Okay, so he's got every advantage over her, and then he's trying to say that he was her victim. Poor freaking douchebag. Wow. These people. So I do want to clear up too some information that I found digging about Susie Skinner, his alleged current girlfriend. So we all know that her husband Chris was in a car accident when he was 20. I found articles about all of that too. Did a ton of digging while I was there in DC when I should have been interacting with my family, but it's okay because they were watching TV and I was just looking stuff up and sitting there, in their company. Anyway, so Chris Skinner was a frat boy when he was in that car accident. He was drunk driving. And then he met Susie Skinner, who had a different last name at the time, who was his physical therapist. So she is a full-fledged physical therapist, not an assistant. I think I got some wrong information about her being JP's babysitter. I don't think she was. A few weeks ago, I was talking about that, saying, well, why would she be babysitting on the side if she was a physical therapist? They make big money. So she's been a physical therapist for 27 years. And she married her patient. They have 2 twins, 12 years old, a boy and a girl. And those twins are the same age as or close to the same age as one of JP's kids. And they play sports together. So that's the whole thing with him saying that he was at a sports thing on the day that Micah was found deceased in the Lumber River State Park. And he was with Susie. and she's his alibi. So we all know 3 years earlier, the patient that she married and had kids with, and I just want to point that out because that is some serious breach of professionalism. Sure, those things happen, and if they fell in love, then that's all beautiful, right? But if they fell in love and then she's cheating on him with JP, and then this happens to him and it's not an accident and she knows something about it, that's more deplorable and more despicable and more egregious as a physician patient relationship. And as him being a quadriplegic, I believe he was quadriplegic, not just paraplegic. It raises the bar, you guys. Like, if this was foul play with him, with Chris, which it seems like it was, Allison didn't put some of that verbiage in her most current complaint for no reason, where she states that Chris Skinner confronted JP 2 weeks before the accident and said to him specifically, stay away from my wife and kids, right? And then 2 weeks later, he's found expired in the swimming pool. Fishy AF. And then JP performs his service, his memorial service. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. And then this woman is his alibi on the day 3 years later that this happens to his wife. And they're both found in water. Isn't that interesting? Since water will take away a lot of evidence. Wow. Both of them found in water. Just like Kylie was found in water. You know, when these types of suspicious accidents happen in homes, they usually happen in the bathtub, right? Or the swimming pool or the hot tub in the backyard. But here we've got Prosser Creek Reservoir. We've got Lumber River State Park. We've got the community swimming pool. No, and if this was an accident at the community swimming pool, then I would think that the family, the wife and kids, could sue the community swimming pool for having it set up to where that could happen. But my guess is that they're not going to file that lawsuit because they're not going to push their luck. My guess is that they already cleaned up on some life insurance. My guess is that there's a lot of people involved if it wasn't an accident. There had to be more people involved than just the person who did it, which was probably a hired person. These people are so sick and twisted. Does this not remind you guys of the Daybells? Big time. Annie Ruler. Yeah. Okay. So what else do I want to talk about before we wrap up? And thanks so much for being here, you guys, and suffering through my technological difficulties. There are some notes that I have that I wanted to address. A brand new channel. This guy has just, well, it's not a brand new channel. He started his channel in 2011, but he only has like less than 200 subs. Andy Peacock is the guy's name. I think that's the name of his channel, Andy Peacock. I'll put a link to it in the description. He's Australian, and his first, I think it's his first true crime video, was titled A New Theory. So he's got 2 videos out about Micah Miller, and he's interesting. I especially like his second video because he's like showing you the beach sunset while he's talking. It's really pretty. But he's got some really good ideas. They're just a couple of short videos. Again, I'll link them in the description. Andy Peacock. And not a new channel, but just new to true crime. So I have come across a lot of awesome channels, new to me, and some new to true crime. Some new in you know, that they just got up and running like a week or 2 ago, and then some that they're old channels, but they didn't really put content out, or if they did, they've taken it down. Anyway, there was one that is called "How Do Serial Killers Think?" That's a video, and I think the name of the channel is LADIBBLE TV, and is very interesting, talking about like the Chris Watts case, and when they're analyzing people's deceptive behaviors, and not just to look at how they're presenting themselves, but taking the full picture into account. It's some fascinating material. The video is 5 months old, but I just watched it the last few days. How do serial unalivers think? And again, I'll put a link to that into the description. And I've got a couple of timestamps that I'll put in there too, 5 minute and 40-second mark, and then the 10-minute and 20-second mark to about the 14 minutes. It's just about a 15-minute video. Anyway, I think that's all the notes I've got from this little notebook. Oh wait, no, here we go. Chris Skinner, that case needs to be reinvestigated, don't you think? And then, oh, I'm so glad I turned the page and saw this, thinking I was on the last page there a second ago. Remember when JP said that he had 350 pieces of information that he was going to be sharing with the public on his silly little TikTok videos in the next couple of days? 350 pieces of evidence, right? And then all of a sudden, he's paying people $350 to provide his camp dirt on YouTubers that are covering his case. What is it with 350? Why is he hung up on that number? Why did he say 350 pieces of evidence and then he's paying people $350? I don't think that's a coincidence. It makes me wonder what significance 350 has. As a time of day, I don't know. But Charlotte is Micah's best friend that has gone on YouTube interviews, like with probably with Justin Justin from TikTok, and maybe with Robbie Harvey. Her name is Charlotte. She's quite lovely. She was Micah's bestie, and she talks about JP calling her the day after the discovery of Micah's remains, and that he had already called her, right? He'd already let her know what had happened, but then he called again the very next day to, he said, provide more details. And then that quote that she speaks of, when he said to her, I thought she was coming to see you. I thought she was coming up to see you. And right then and there, Charlotte knew that Micah was being tracked again. So was she being tracked with an electronic device, or was she being tracked by all the gang stalkers that were surrounding her at the gas station and the, the pawn shop? Anyway, yeah, so Charlotte, I thought, had some really good insight into what was going on. She said she got shivers, I think, like the hair, I think her words were, the hair on the back of her neck stood up. I thought she was coming up to see you. These people don't realize how much they give themselves away when they say these types of things. He was letting the cat out of the bag that he knew she was traveling north when it happened in real time. But there was something else I wanted to say about that too, and it might have escaped my mind. I got distracted because a text came through. Like I said, I hate using my cell phone for my videos, but I'm just grateful to be able to make a video with you guys live right now. So what was it, the thing about Charlotte? And I wonder why Charlotte and her, spouse, I think she's married. I wonder why they moved up north. I wonder if something happened with JP, because they were very involved with the church. I wonder if they were trying to get away from him. You know, that's pretty common when you've got a bad apple like that, that people will literally move to get away. And he seemed to be quite the stalker and harasser with anybody that tried to leave the church. Again, the abandonment issues, the control issues, the stalker issues. My goodness. Oh, let's see. Notes. I'm just making sure I got everything that I have written down here. And then, like I said, I'll wrap up, even though we're only at an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm not in a hurry, I don't think. Let's see, it's probably what, about 1:30, coming up on 1:30. So yeah, I do need to wrap up anyway, but yeah, it's just the frustration of using this device. So going back to the Kylie Rodney case, knowing some of the things that we could see Scammy getting charged with, the evidence of her lying to the authorities, the evidence of her obstructing justice, the evidence of her interfering with the investigation. If only the authorities gave a flying F, but the authorities are as culpable as she is, in my opinion. It's not unlike Idaho 4, which we haven't talked about, and I don't think we should, just because we don't really have time. But these people contradicting themselves, incriminating themselves, exaggerating. What, we had millions of tips? Was that the one in the Tony Dodge interview that she said there was millions? And maybe thousands of people taking calls on the millions of tips. I mean, talk about manic characteristics, right? And why did Jagger say he was 4 hours away? Maybe it took him 4 hours to get there, but you know, when you Google Napa to Truckee, it's under 3 hours. So I find that to be an exaggeration and a misrepresentation, and maybe for a purpose of misrepresenting the truth, basically. So, you know, I was so far away, so far away. But yeah, I'll never get over law enforcement claiming that Kylie Rodney didn't meet the criteria for an Amber Alert, because clearly she did. Clearly there was suspicion of her being abducted. Clearly there was a vehicle involved with a known license plate, and clearly she was a minor. And then for her mother to not be upset about it and just to be like, oh, well, let's just fix that problem so that the next minor that goes missing can have an Amber Alert. Like, it's already water under the bridge for my daughter, but you know, we'll just fix it for the next one. That was so weird. And that was at the same press conference, the makeout press conference, right? And Scammy, what was it that Lindsay whispered into Scammy's ear that shook her up and made her forget what she was going to say when the stage was then hers? Interesting. So, let's see. I think that's about it. So frustrating. Not being able to make my videos for a few days, because I love making these videos with you guys. And again, something that Micah and Kylie Rodney's cases seem to have in common is that the um, the perpetrators failed to they underestimated how much the public would care about these missing persons, being Micah and Kylie. They completely underestimated public interest and concern, and thought that this was just going to be, one of so many missing persons cases. I mean, sadly, there are so many missing persons cases. I just learned about one this morning. The 41-year-old woman from Chicago who went missing from a yoga retreat center in the Bahamas, by the on Paradise Island, by the Paradise Resort. Um, that one's not looking good. That is very concerning. And, we hear about missing persons cases every day. The Chandra Levy one being 23 years old this year, and the fact that she had just turned 24. So she would be 47 if she were still alive. But sadly, her remains were found in Rock Creek Park. That's not to say that that's where it happened. I mean, in my opinion, they were probably dumped there. They were probably planted there to make it look like that. And people getting away with red rum, like it's not bad enough that these people have their lives stolen from them, that their families have their loved ones stolen from them, but then to have justice fail them. And especially in a case like that with Chandra Levy, with the government involvement and politicians, and the betrayal from your country. I mean, seriously, really, really sad. So let's try to continue to fight for justice for these people that need it, and families that are still surviving and really struggling and suffering. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thanks so much for being here with me, you guys, whether you're on the replay crew or if you're still here live. It says I have 10 people, 7 likes. That's a pretty good ratio. Woohoo! Thanks. So if there's 10 people here and you notice that you haven't hit your like button, please do so on the way out. It helps the channel a great deal. I apologize for the monetization. You guys know I've been struggling with the monetization for, a year and a half. So it seems that everything is ironed out. We'll see. We will see. But I apologize because now that means that you're getting interrupted with commercials, and that's annoying. So I'm so sorry. But, you got to do what you got to do, right? Since I quit my job a few months ago. Thank goodness. That was... we won't even talk about it. Anyway, sending you love, sending you light. Have a really good Wednesday. I hope that you can get some sunshine and fresh air. Take really good care of yourself. Stay hydrated. Eat your protein, eat your veggies, get some exercise. See you tomorrow, Jazz. Yes, and I'm hoping to get into my habit of doing my lives every day because it's my jam. I love you guys. I love being a part of this true crime community, as I like to say. And it's just, it's like seeing friends and family. It's very cool. So I appreciate you so very much. Thanks a million, and blessings to you all. Stay true, stay kind, and stay brave. And let me see if I remember how to shut this down. I think